Okay, so Elizabeth City, North Carolina, experienced its fourth day consecutively of protesting. We've been blocking down major intersections, major roads. And again, this is a small town. I want to emphasize this is not like, a Minneapolis or a fucking Seattle or a fucking Columbus, Ohio, right? This is a small town. And as this is such a small town, we have one or two main roads. One main road has all of the chain restaurants, right? The other one is how you get in and out of the city, right? So what we were doing is, over the last couple of days, is we go and occupy these streets and we shut them down for several hours of the day, so that anyone who is doing their traveling can understand that, we are protesting for a very noble cause. Now, for those of you that don't know, and I will recap my Twitter feed here, so I'll just open that up right now. But for those of you that don't know, what happened 5 minutes away from my house, right? And this is one of those crazy things where it's like, people always say to themselves, oh, it'll never happen here, it'll happen there. This happened 5 minutes from my house. So when I first heard the news, I walked all the way down to the scene of the crime and saw the scene of the crime. But someone in my neighborhood, that lives in my neighborhood, was assassinated by police. Now, to my understanding, there were at least 7 sheriff's deputies present at this police execution. And I want to also provide the details that this was in a school zone. Children were present at this police execution. And also the police who executed a man named Andrew Brown in my neighborhood actually missed a couple shots and ended up shooting into some of the houses in my neighborhood. Which, again, by the grace of God, no one was hurt, right? But the gunshots going into people's houses while they're trying to do an arrest or something, it's not something that typically happens in a situation where people with guns are well trained and well regulated, and that's certainly not the case with the police. And so when I heard about this, I went down to the scene and I spoke to some of the neighbors, and there was planned protesting at City Hall, and we've been protesting ever since then. And so yesterday was day 4, and I want to give that recap. And what I do at these protests is I go to interact. I go to involve myself. I don't go there as a streamer. I don't go there as a fucking person. I am just one of the protesters. So I take videos every hour or so, whenever there's any change, whenever there's movement, whenever there's something notable, I'll take a video. But I saw this unmarked police car blocking off, hello, Twitter. I mean, the whole photograph is okay. I saw this unmarked police car, and I just thought that this was really funny, and I started laughing. So I took a photo of that as I was walking toward the protest. And then obviously, here's where the protest was meeting. So now I want to again remind everyone that we have one main road in this city that has all the restaurants on it. You got the Happy Taco up there, right? And then you got much, much more down the street and also on the other side of the street. Like, you see where this cop is? I'm using my finger to point. You see where this cop is? Right there, that's like Taco Bell, right? So we're talking about we have Dollar General and all these chain stores and restaurants that, basically just steal our money and send it to major corporations and other places in the country, and in some cases in the world. To my understanding, I want to clarify a chat question. To my understanding, something I've been told on the ground, and again, we don't know because we don't have the body cam footage of Andrew Brown's assassination, but to my understanding, they used some sort of high-powered rifle. I don't know if that means, like an assault weapon. I don't know, what that means exactly. But to my understanding, from the information that I have, they did not use a typical handgun or a 9mm pistol to execute Andrew Brown in a school zone in front of children. They used some sort of high-powered rifle, to my understanding. But again, it could be wrong. We don't know until the tape comes out. So for those of you that are still wondering what we're protesting for, we're protesting to demand that the body cam footage be released of the police assassination of Andrew Brown. And now, another thing that's interesting is that they said that the law prevents them from doing so. Now, my contention is that the law also prevents you from assassinating someone in a school zone, but that didn't stop you, right? So fuck the law at that point. If we're talking about breaking the law, right, the law is going to be broken. Now, if you're going to break the law, what are you going to do? Assassinate someone in a school zone in front of children? Or copy and paste a video file? Which one of those situations, in your moral, authoritative questioning, right, in your calculation, Like assassinating someone in a school zone where kids are present, copying and pasting a video file, right, really makes you think, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a fuck about the law. Law and order is just a shield for corruption. It's just a shield for authoritarians. So I just wanted to be very clear about that. But there is law and order that says they can't publicly release the video or some shit. But they said they wouldn't mind releasing it to the family of Andrew. And the family of Andrew went down there, and the sheriff was like, haha, did we say that? Well, psych, nope, not gonna happen. So, and then also, our district attorney, someone named Andrew Womble, has also been very, very much so against the release of the body camera footage. Now, the only reason why the body camera footage would not be released at this point is because it's really, 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 really fucking horrific. And so that's really the only possible option. They wouldn't release the body camera footage if, like, Andrew Brown had, like, a flamethrower marching out of his house and with, like, a fucking nuclear bomb strapped to his chest and he was about to destroy America. Like, they would not, like, have been afraid to release the goddamn footage at this point. What they're afraid of is because it's going to show Andrew not knowing that the cops are even there, probably driving his kid to school, or probably going to work, or probably going to a grocery store, right? And then they just start opening fire for no reason without proper warning, right? They say they were trying to serve an arrest warrant. You don't serve an arrest warrant by starting to shoot in a school zone. That's just not how it works, right? So I want to remind everyone that that's the kind of, details here. And also, so yeah, I get at the scene. And so what we do is we spread out. And what we do is, I also want to remind everyone it's raining at this point. And so I'm very impressed by the turnout in the rain. I want to say, like, real quick, the first day of the protests, right, was all, like, local Elizabeth City residents. And we had probably about 200 people there. The second and third day, we had more and more people there. Today, we had a very similar amount to probably the first day, where we had a couple hundred people here, maybe slightly more than the first day, like 250. But it was, like, also raining at the same time. So, like, shout out to everyone for just, like, marching through the streets in the rain. Like, that's pretty cool. And it takes a certain amount of badassery to actually pull that off. So I'm just throwing that out there. So what we do is we meet up at this point and we spread to occupy all the major intersections. So that's what we do in here. So I spread off in this group. So as you can see here, we are blocking the Sonic. As you can see, no one can get into the Sonic. Oh no, the Sonic has been blocked. It's over, folks. And again, that's a huge problem. For anyone that needed to get their Sonic, it's a huge fucking problem. So we blocked the Sonic, and then at this point, so we're right here. Now, again, we're looking in the opposite direction from this clip here. Now, we see this parade of police officers come in, and I don't know why Twitter does that. Okay. So we see this parade of police officers come in. I count, and I'm just going to go off of this picture. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I count 9 cop cars. Right? So they just start coming in. Right? They're in. They're so, like, I hate to, make this like a little bit of a joke. It's not a joke. However,
they weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet.
So that's kind of what's going on here. So the cops are coming, and so, but who cares, right? Now, I want to make a stipulation here. Now, I want to say, me personally, I don't like any police officer. If I hear that you're a police officer, I will instantly not like you, probably until you quit, or, like, even probably potentially afterward. I am not a fan of police officers. That being said, the local Elizabeth City police are they're pretty supportive of the protest. Because what happens here is basically the sheriffs came in to do this arrest warrant without informing our local police chief or any of our local police in any capacity, right? So they just completely sidestepped the local police, came in and assassinated someone in my neighborhood. And as a result of that, of our local police being leapfrogged by the sheriff's department, the local police is very supportive of the protest. So I do want to be very clear about that. Now, that also being said, right, is there are some people in the local police that are very, very, very evil. Now, not every single police officer is evil. I think they're all garbage people on a personal level, right? And their job is a net negative to society, right? But let's be honest, there's a difference between a cop and a cop who has a thin blue line badge and who voted for Trump like 18 times using their fucking, families like mailed in ballots, right? We're talking about like, we're talking about stop the steal versus like, oh, do I really have to go to work today, right? So I just want to say there is a level there for there to be worse cops. So there are pretty bad cops. And then there's also a bunch of unmarked vehicles, right? There's a bunch of sheriff's vehicles. There's a bunch of like state vehicles. There's a bunch of like, I've seen some evidence of federal, agents in here. So there are like a lot of non-local police as well that you have to worry about. So it's one of those situations where it's way more efficient and effective to be skeptical of all police than to be skeptical of only certain police. Okay, so I'm just throwing that out there. But the local police are relatively supportive of our protests. So at this point, what we do is we just try to spread down the whole street. So as you can see, most of the marchers are down there. And we just kind of like take, 5 or 6 people and we just try to occupy as many intersections as we can. And that actually ended up working. So, so at this point, again, as you can tell, it's raining. I'll play the audio on this. But as you can tell, it's raining, right? And so it's actually like it's pouring at this point, right? Like, so there's like, I'm surprised that there's this many people here, considering it's pouring. And then, so like, we're still doing that whole thing. And then what we all do is we all meet up once again, and then we decide to shut down the Walmart. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Walmart is actually not directly in the city. It is like in between our city and another city, but like, you have to like, it's like a relatively decent walk. It's like 4 miles away from this location to the Walmart. So we decide to go occupy the Walmart. And so what happens there is basically a bunch of people take vehicles so that, we can have like a way to get back and that kind of stuff. And so we go take down the Walmart. And this is actually really interesting because it took us about an hour to get there, right? And this is a picture. I'm in one of the cars, right? I know, right? I was in the car the whole time. But anyway, so we get there, and apparently no one at the Walmart knew that was. I have no idea. Like, you would think, right? We're gonna go occupy the Walmart, and then we walk in there, right? Like, we're walking there. So like, you'd think like the cops would call the Walmart and say like, hey, like you'd think that no. So when we got to the Walmart, there was still like a fuckload of people there, and they couldn't leave. Until like, the cops figured out like a way for them to corral them around. And it was just like really funny to watch. But like, so we're on our way to Walmart. We passed the Social Security Administration. And I just wanted to take a photo of that because I thought it was really funny. No one could get in or out of Social Security for approximately 20 minutes. It was over. And so by the time we get to Walmart, it gets dark. It gets dark really quickly. By the time we leave, as you can see, it's not that dark. But then 20 minutes later, it's fucking pitch black. And so, we just do this whole thing. My phone is like low on battery at this point, so I didn't take that many photos. Unfortunately, cause I like, for the most of the protesting, I was leaving later in the afternoon. But for this, I went out much earlier. So like, by the time we got there, my phone was at like 30% or whatever. And so that was, I didn't feel like taking that many photos. But by the time we get to Walmart, it's pretty dark, and there's like a lot of angry like people in the Walmart crowd that are like honking their fucking horns and stuff. It was very entertaining. It was very interesting. And then we go back, and then the way back was also very awkward. Like, the cars were like, it was very much so, you can tell that this whole thing was not planned very thoroughly, which, the anarchist in me is like, hell yes, I love a decentralized, non-thoroughly planned action that, works tremendously well. But, and then, like, the other part of me is like, I really don't like how the cars are, like, not, like, in any capacity. Like, how do we turn around? So we have to, like, develop this huge, like, fashion of how we turn around and stuff. It was really awkward and really entertaining. Then we go home. And so that's kind of the situation. Um, honking. I see some cars were honking in support, some were not. Because there were interactions where people were yelling out of their windows and they were saying things that are not necessarily nice. That's the thing with honking, is you don't know if a honk is a supportive honk or an unsupportive honk, right? Like a honk is a honk, right? Like you have like the way you understand, the way you read the honk is up to you, right? You know what I mean? So it's like the honk could be anything could happen with the honk, right? But there were some people screaming out their windows. It was very entertaining. And that was basically the big action yesterday. And so now I don't know what the actions are planned today. A lot of people said that they wanted to take a break today. A couple people have said that they're not taking a break. So if there are demonstrations planned for today, I will be attending them. And my phone is at a 100% charge. I should have probably gone into the Walmart and grabbed an extra charger battery, but you know, I'm dumb. So what are you going to do? So yeah, that's the story of yesterday's protest. Again, considering the fact that it was raining the whole time up until like the very end, like it was raining up until like halfway to Walmart and then it stopped raining. But considering that, we had a very, very high turnout considering the rain. You know, and the turnout was mostly young people. There was a lot of like older people, but not, you know, compared to the previous days. But again, you know, considering the rain, considering the weather, it was also really cold. You know, I'm very impressed by the turnout. And again, I just wanted to say I had no idea that this kind of spirit and energy was in this city, and I'm very impressed. I'm very proud of my city, and I'm very I'm very happy that people are coming here from outside of Elizabeth City to provide us support both emotionally, legally, you know, just being there, like, you know, physically, you know, just the more and more people there are, the more, you know, safe people feel. And anyway, that's basically what happened yesterday. And I thought it was a pretty good, successful day. And yeah, it was very fun. It was very interesting. And I'm very curious as to see what is going to happen today and tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And I will, of course, again, keep y'all posted as long as there are demonstrations, as long as there's any actions, and if there are updates on the case of the police assassination of Andrew Brown, I will keep y'all posted. Yeah, so that's the segment. That's it. And there you go.